let's get to the Kwabena Donkor matter. We hear that somebody is being prosecuted for, maybe prosecuted, I should say, for causing financial loss to the state. But Mr. Donkor seems to have a very strong statement. He says that eventually the Ameri plant will be owned by Ghana and to be the only such deal within the context of energy supply. So he doesn't see anything wrong with it. He's confident to go to court. But the Rambo style is still disturbing. Remember the Chachuchi Kata arrest in church many years ago and all of that. Evans, you engage with that story. What is it? What happened in his home at 6 o'clock in the morning? Well,
so he had just returned from a parliamentary meeting in Koforidua, and so was home. And the officers had arrived with a warrant, a properly signed warrant from the Court of Competent Jurisdiction, and asked to search the house. So he was called out. He saw them. They asked to see the warrant. They showed
at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, really.
So if he wasn't awake, would they have waited?
Okay. So today I'm now understanding why they did that. The day they chose and the time they chose. Monday, Parliament doesn't sit. And some days on Monday, if there's an urgent, issue, they would call them to sit. And so if you remember, there's a constitutional provision
on their way
that they have to maneuver. Exactly. So if you do it on Monday, less likely you caught in that web, in that constitutional web. Do it at 6 a.m. less likely you'll be caught in that way because he's not on his way to Parliament or back from Parliament. And so that's why I'm guessing, because today, based on what I've heard the minority say today and the statement they issued, I'm guessing that's what they did. So they went to the house finally, because he's seen the warrant, and they searched. They said the entire house and seizes his laptop and a few pen drives. He says the pen drives and the laptop, that's what he uses, that's what he's always used. And so there may be documents on it, but he says the documents are public documents anyway, because every other document surrounding the Mary deal is public, because it went to Parliament, it was proved, etc. So he doesn't see there's a big deal there. Now, the interesting thing about it, though, is the backstory for me is not the raid, but what happened over the weekend leading to the raid, which is that Katie Hammond, who used to be the former Deputy Energy Minister and the ranking member from the NPP minority last year on the Mines Energy Committee.
Is he now the chairman of the committee?
No, he's not.
But he's a member of the committee.
He's a member of the committee still. Over the weekend, in fact, last week, towards the tail end of last week, had been given some fresh information. This is according to him, because I had spoken to him, about the Mary deal. Remember that when the thing came to Parliament, he was one of those who endorsed
the deal.
The deal.
As the ranking member.
As a ranking member.
Yeah.
But subsequent to that, and very recently, in the last 2 weeks, he has changed his position, having seen the latest documents, that there's something fundamental wrong with the deal that he had approved. So he has filed a motion asking Parliament to rescind the decision to approve. Now,
the earlier approval that they did.
Yes.
They're asking Parliament to rescind that decision to approve that Mary deal.
Yes, he's filed a motion recently.
For Parliament to consider.
Yes.
So now, that if Parliament were to rescind, the Mary deal will be cancelled.
Exactly. Essentially. Over the weekend, Kwabena Donkor and the other minority members wanted to find out what is it that Katie Hammond has that has changed his mind. Apart from a meeting with the minority in the members of the committee generally that he did, he held another private meeting with Kwabena Donkor alone, 2 hours in his house.
On the 9th of Sunday?
Sunday.
In Katie Hammond's home?
Yes.
In Accra?
Yes, on the matter. Okay, where
just the two of them?
Just the two of them. And this is all according to Katie Hammond, Kwabena Donkor himself.
Okay.
And at which Kwabena Donkor then comes to a compromise, because having seen the documents and the fresh information, he came to a compromise that there is something there.
He hinted it.
Yes.
That there may have been some structural.
Yes, this is a structural fault with the negotiation. Yeah. And in fact had said that we should take a second look at it, having seen the document. So going into this week, the plan was the minority side then will meet today. Okay? No, what? Yesterday,
Monday. Today's Tuesday.
Meet. And then Kwabena Donkor then will then relay Katie Hammond's documents to the minority guys. The hope was then the minority guys would then back Katie Hammond, and in essence the majority
to rescind the
thing, having seen the documents. That was a compromise where they were building, and then the raid happens. So once the raid happens, it turns to a criminal matter. Then he says, I'm not going to go ahead anymore. So in fact, the meeting now has happened, but the minority position is hardened now. They still want to see the Katie Hammond thing, though. They still want to see it. To see if they should back or not. But this is going to make it a bit more difficult for them. In fact, they said it today in a statement. for them to jump onto the wagon to sort of reverse what has happened. So that's where we are. There's a lot happening in the background that has led to what has happened. What we still don't know is who authorized the raid. Because you see, Kwabena Donkor said something very interesting yesterday, very in passing, but it's key. He says, I know where this is coming from, but one thing I can vouch, it's not coming from the presidency.
Yeah, but that was pedestrian. What's the point about it?
No,
I know where it's coming from, and that's not coming from the president. Is he suggesting the president is opposed to it?
Yeah.
I mean, the president is president. He has a lot to do. He's not concerned about policemen going to people's homes to pick up. That's somebody else's decision. I agree. So it will never be the president.
He's complaining about his human rights.
Exactly. That's what he's saying.
Okay.
I mean, and
to the human rights.
For him, this is witch hunt. And now we know that there's a suggestion that it's the energy ministry that is pushing this.
Or the energy minister.
Or the energy minister. I don't want to say the energy minister because, you know what I mean? That is pushing this.
Up yourself
that is pushing on the back of the Addison Committee investigations.
But the people who authorized it, do they know, were they aware that Katie Hammond had met Kwabena Donkor the night before? Could they have been aware?
I doubt if they did.
So it's coincidental?
I doubt. In fact, Mr. Hammond himself, sources tell me, is even surprised.
Okay.
With the turn of events.
It means that they were not, it means that perhaps the two of them were being watched and the intelligence officers were aware that they had a meeting. Perhaps the intelligence officer had an inkling of the meeting. Perhaps they had monitored their conversations and knew what they were talking about.
Or so possible.
They wanted that evidence from Kwabena Donkor because they must have heard, I've sent you an email, so have you seen it, and that kind of thing.
Possible. All possible.
So it's another space to watch, yeah?
Yeah. It's a really an interesting one, really. I mean,
But Kwabena Donkor makes an important defense point that, look, this deal, there's nothing in it.
Right.
Even though there are structural issues, we did the thing.
It's the best.
The charges that we are doing is lower than a lot of the other things. The Ameri plant is going to be owned by Ghana. This is the first that happens, so he's very comfortable to go to any court to defend himself, and he's confident that he will not be found guilty of the law. That's quite comforting for all of us.